there's records of the quarry being here in the early 1900s. So the quarry itself, obviously, therefore, has been here over 100 years. So quite a long-term, well-established quarry. During the Second World War, it was fairly busy providing stone for construction for defence works, etc., in the local area. And again, after the war, a lot of stone went up to London for the rebuilding of London. A bit of geology: if you take a map of, say, England and draw a line from here to Bristol and then into the Midlands, everything to the right or the east of that tends to be sand and gravel. Everything to the west of that is stone. So you've got the limestones here and in the Mendip areas, and then in Cornwall you've got the granites, and up in the Midlands you've got limestone again. So sand and gravel has its uses, but limestone or rock has different uses as well. So in construction generally, stone is used a lot more than sand and gravel. So a lot of stone therefore from this area and through went into London for the rebuilding of London. In the 1980s, when Tarmac owned the quarry, probably was its busiest time, doing up towards about 500,000 tonnes a year, which for a quarry in the UK puts it in about the medium size bracket. So it's a reasonable sized quarry in the 1980s with its output at 500,000 tonne a year. Currently we're doing about a quarter of that, down at 125,000 tonne a year of sales. And for a quarry, again, that's fairly small in terms of output. Also in terms of sand and gravel and rock, that's a fairly small level of production. Again, pretty much the bulk of that is going into Purbex and Poole and Bournemouth. These Suttles took over in 2011 from Tarmac, and the Suttles as a family have been on the Isle of Purbeck since the 1920s, quarrying since the 1930s. So, just briefly, you tend to, when you operate a quarry, you tend to operate it in sort of certain sections. So, typical quarry here is down to the left, where you can hear the plant running, is you've got the processing area. Over to my right, down is the extraction area, what you're taking the stone out from. And in the centre of the quarry in front of us is the area of sort of like ongoing restoration. And then down the far end, we've got the grassed area, which is like the finished restoration. So you tend to work it in phases. So in the past, where the plant is now would have been extracted first, then we've moved around to where they're currently tipping, and then you move on to where we're currently extracting from. So everything works in phases, and then as you go on to the next phase, the phase behind you tend to restore. So everything's done in a fairly phased fashion.